Let's dive right into this fascinating contrast. When we picture traditional Japan, the image of a Kyoto Maiko, an apprentice geiko or geisha, is probably one of the very first things that pops into our heads, right? We see the pristine white makeup, those incredibly elaborate kimonos, and the delicate floral hairpins. But what we don't see is the sheer athlete-level grit required to actually live this life. In this explainer, we're going to rely on data and first-hand accounts straight from the flower districts of Kyoto to demystify the Maiko and uncover the intense reality behind all that glamour.
Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. 1. The iconic Maiko look. 2. The strict path forward. 3. A day in the life. And 4. Seasons of the Kagai. Section 1. The iconic Maiko look. Physical burden. Let's start with that famous aesthetic that hooks everyone in, but we're going to completely subvert your expectations right away, because this look, it is absolutely far from effortless. Honestly, the sheer weight of this attire is just staggering. The Maiko's kimono is a susohiki, which means it has this incredibly long hem that they physically have to hold up just to walk outside. But the real kicker, and the heaviest burden by far, is the Dorari obi. We're talking about a stunning sash that is literally 5 meters long. 5 meters! It's so heavy and unwieldy that a Maiko can't even dress herself. She needs the strength of a specialized male dresser called an otokoshi just to tie the thing. Now add on a massive pottery ornament on the front and those huge heavy wooden clogs called okobo on her feet, and you quickly realize that just standing upright, let alone walking around, takes an insane amount of core strength. And then there's the makeup. Achieving that signature shironuri, or white painted look, is this highly specific, frankly grueling process. First, you have to melt down and apply warm bintsuke wax oil directly to the skin. Then, you take white powder dissolved in water and carefully brush it over the face, neck, and back. After that, you have to pat and smooth it out repeatedly with a puff. Finally, you apply the red lipstick. Though, fun fact, novice Maiko are only allowed to paint their lower lip. Getting this flawless, unpatchy finish is so notoriously difficult that new apprentices actually have to rely on their mothers and senior sisters just to get ready. It's truly a team effort.
Now, here is a really sharp contrast between an apprentice Maiko and a fully fledged geiko. Geiko get to wear convenient, pre-styled wigs. Maiko, they have to use their own natural hair. It gets meticulously styled into these elaborate shapes, like the wear shinobu for beginners or the afuku for seniors, topped off with beautiful seasonal floral pins. But here is the massive catch. Because styling takes so long, they absolutely cannot wash it out every night. To keep their hair perfectly intact for days at a time, a Maiko has to sleep on a special, hard wooden neck rest. Let that sink in for a second. Sleeping on wood. It is a literal 24/7 commitment to the aesthetic. Section 2. The strict path forward. Lifelong commitment. Let's see how this career builds from a simple modern email inquiry into an intense, lifelong devotion.
The progression just to get to the starting line is intense. These days, a girl might just apply online via Nokia or boarding house. Simple, right? Well, once accepted, reality hits hard. The very first stage is a grueling, year-long period as a shikomi. They live in the Okiya, do all the heavy chores, learn the unique Kyoto flower district dialect, and start intense dance training. If they actually survive that year, they become a minarai for about a month. This is on-the-job training. They wear a half-length obi, shadow their senior sister at real banquets, and seal their bond with a ceremonial cup of sake. Finally, after all of that, they earn their misadashi. That's a massive 3-day formal debut where they wear black-crested kimonos to officially announce themselves to the district.
But you know, that grand debut is really just the beginning of the journey. To become an absolute professional in hospitality, they have to relentlessly study a massive curriculum. We are talking about mastering kyomai, that's the traditional Kyoto-style dance, plus learning to play the string shamisen, various flutes and drums, navigating multiple highly complex styles of traditional singing, and perfecting the highly ritualized tea ceremony. So they aren't just putting on pretty clothes, they are practically enrolled in a highly disciplined vocational academy for the traditional arts. Section 3. A day in the life. A relentless schedule. To really grasp the resilience, we have to look at what a single 24-hour period actually looks like. And spoiler alert, there is zero real downtime. They usually wake up between 8 and 10 a.m. Then, from 10 a.m. right through to 1 p.m., they are laser focused on rigorous arts and dance lessons at the local school.
After that, they get a small window until 6 p.m. to grab a late lunch, try to rest, and then begin that incredibly time-consuming process of getting into the heavy makeup and kimono we just talked about. And from 6 p.m. onward, it is showtime. They are bouncing between multiple evening banquets known as zashiki, continuously entertaining guests for hours on end.
Because of all those evening banquets, going to bed well after 1 a.m. is just business as usual. I mean, think about how hardcore that is. You stay up entertaining, drinking, and performing at the absolute highest level of hospitality past 1 a.m. Then you go back to the boarding house, painfully take down that 5-meter heavy kimono, scrub off that thick white makeup, try to fall asleep on a literal wooden block to protect your hairstyle, and then you have to wake up just a few hours later to do another grueling day of physical training. It requires just a mind-blowing amount of sheer willpower.
Section 4. Seasons of the Kagai. A cyclical devotion. If we zoom out from a single day, we see that their lives are entirely dictated by the traditional calendar of Kyoto.
Those grueling daily schedules are always building towards massive public festivals. In the spring, they perform in the legendary Miyaka Odori, which brings in massive crowds all throughout April. In the sweltering summer heat, they're riding on floats in full gear for the Hanagasa Junko Parade on July 24th during the famous Gion Festival. And in autumn, it's the Anshikai, a highly refined dance recital where true connoisseurs actually judge the progress of their artistic training. So yeah, there's absolutely no off-season in this world.
Which brings us to the number 31, specifically December 31st. This marks the grand finale of an exhausting year. And how do they spend it? By bustling all through the freezing winter streets of Kyoto to give personal, final thanks to every single tea house and teacher they've worked with over the last 12 months. They do this by offering a very traditional Kyoto New Year's Eve greeting, Akoto Sandosu, acknowledging the hard work of the entire community. And in return for this greeting, the tea house mothers hand them a fukudama. It's this really beautiful large red and white mochi ball filled with lucky charms. It serves as a token of surviving yet another deeply demanding year, and they crack it open right before breakfast on New Year's Day. It's just a brief, quiet moment of reward after a relentless year in the public eye.
So, we've looked at the 5-meter heavy sashes, the incredibly strict rules about hair and makeup, the endless 15-hour workdays, and a calendar completely packed with intense public performances. When you finally look past those stunning kimonos and the elegant white makeup that everyone recognizes, you really have to ask yourself, could you endure this beautiful but rigorous life? Do you honestly have the athlete-level grit it takes to be a Maiko? Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you're leaving today with a profound new respect for the incredible women preserving these traditions.